The Silent Dominion, Episode 1, When the Sky Went Quiet. March 15th, 2024, 11:47 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Dr. Alara Voss, lead astronomer at the Palomar Observatory, was conducting a routine stellar mapping when she noticed something impossible. The star Polaris, the North Star that had guided humanity for millennia, was gone. Not obscured, not dimmed, gone. Within minutes, observatories across 6 continents confirmed the unthinkable. Every visible star in the night sky had vanished simultaneously, as if someone had simply switched them off. But stars don't just disappear. They burn for billions of years. They explode in supernovas visible across galaxies. They don't just cease to exist in the span of a heartbeat. Yet there, Dr. Voss stood staring up at a sky as black and empty as the void between thoughts. The first emergency broadcasts began at 12:03 a.m. Social media erupted with photos of empty skies from Tokyo to London, from Sao Paulo to Cairo. Number-sign stars gone, trending within minutes as 7 billion people simultaneously looked up and saw nothing. The president was awakened at 12:15 a.m. The Pentagon scrambled every available satellite to scan for debris, for explosions, for any explanation that fit within the boundaries of known physics. They found nothing. Space itself seemed to have become a hollow shell, decorated only by the moon's pale, lonely glow. Dr. Voss remained at her telescope, adjusting coordinates, running diagnostics, checking and rechecking her equipment. Everything was functioning perfectly. The stars weren't hidden, they were absent, as if they had never existed at all. At 3:47 a.m., something else happened, something far worse than missing stars. The world went quiet, not the quiet of a peaceful night, but an unnatural, oppressive silence that seemed to press against the eardrums. Dr. Voss noticed it first when her computer's cooling fan, a constant background hum she'd grown accustomed to over years of late-night observations, simply stopped. Not the fan itself, the sound. She could see the blades spinning, feel the air movement against her skin, but the whooshing noise was gone, vanished as completely as the stars above. She spoke aloud, testing her voice. "Hello." But though she felt her vocal cords vibrate, though she felt air move through her throat, no sound emerged. She was speaking into a vacuum of silence that existed somehow within normal atmosphere. Across the globe, similar reports flooded in through the few communication channels still functioning. Radio stations went dead mid-broadcast. Musicians found their instruments mute. Even the ambient sounds of civilization, traffic, air conditioning, the rustle of leaves, all fell silent. But perhaps most disturbing of all was the response of the natural world. Birds stopped singing at dawn, not because they chose to, but because their songs produced no sound. Dogs barked in apparent distress, their mouths opening and closing soundlessly, their eyes wide with confusion. Even the wind through the trees made no noise, creating the surreal image of branches swaying in perfect ghostly silence. Dr. Voss drove home through eerily quiet streets, watching people emerge from their houses, pointing at their phones, moving their lips in soundless conversations. Some were crying, tears streaming down their faces in perfect silence. Others stood motionless, as if frozen by the impossibility of their situation. The silence wasn't random. It was selective. Somehow, whatever force had stolen the stars was now stealing sound itself, but not all at once. Some noises persisted, heartbeats, the rush of blood in one's ears, the internal sounds of the body. But all external sound, All communication, all the audio landscape of human civilization was being systematically erased. Governments attempted emergency broadcasts through visual displays, electronic billboards, and text messages. The few that got through carried the same message: remain calm. This is a temporary phenomenon. Solutions are being developed, but those in power knew what the public was beginning to suspect. This wasn't a malfunction or natural disaster. This was too precise, too controlled, too deliberately crafted to be accidental. At sunset on March 16th, 22 hours after the stars disappeared, Dr. Voss made a discovery that would haunt her for the rest of her life. She was reviewing telescope data when she noticed something in the empty sky. Not a star, not a planet, but a pattern. A barely perceptible distortion in the darkness itself, like heat waves rising from summer pavement, but geometric, structured. The pattern was moving, slowly, deliberately, covering vast distances of empty space where constellations once hung. It wasn't hiding among the stars. It was where the stars used to be. As night fell and the silence deepened, Dr. Voss realized with growing horror that the stars hadn't vanished at all. They had been covered. Something massive, something incomprehensibly vast had positioned itself between Earth and the cosmos, something that could manipulate sound waves, that could selectively edit reality itself. And as she watched the geometric patterns shift and flow across the artificial darkness above, one terrible thought crystallized in her mind. The invasion hadn't begun with the missing stars. The missing stars were just the signal that the invasion was complete. Whatever was coming for humanity wasn't approaching from space. It was already here.